nice to hear about scientific technological cooperation with Harbin, with Yakutsk. Next our item of our agenda, Honorary Director, K Laboratory of Global Change in the Marine Atmospheric Chemistry of Ministry of Natural Resources, Mr. Chen Lizi. This is
sorry, I think it's my turn now. Okay, because I'm one of the two moderators.
Okay. Sorry.
First, I'd like to introduce myself. Yeah, my name is Yifan Li, and I'm a director of the HID Training Center and chief scientist of the Polar Academy. And I'm also a professor of the School of Environment, Harbin Institute of Technology, China. First, I'd like to thank the government of Sakhalin Republic and organize a wonderful Northern Forum. And also I'd like to thank Northeastern Federal University for invite us to join this wonderful panel. We have 5 Chinese speakers to join this penalty and panels. And first, our speaker is Professor Chen Liqi. He is honorary director, Key Laboratory of Global Change and Marine Atmospheric Chemistry of Ministry of Natural Resources. Okay, please, Professor Chen Liqi. No, it's Professor Chen Liqi.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's your turn. Professor Chen.
Okay. Is it okay?
I cannot see you.
I'm sorry. I needed to. Okay.
Okay. No, it's good. So can you share your screen, please?
Okay.
Your PPT.
Could you see me the show the
Yeah,
PPT?
we can see you. We can see you. Yeah, can you share your PPT, please?
Please see below in green.
Okay, got it.
Right, and you can share with us your screen.
Okay.
Okay.
You see green.
Could you see me? Oh.
Yeah, we can see you. Yeah. Hi, Professor Nikolaev, did you stop your sharing?
Okay.
I'm here, but I'm after 15 minutes it's go out. I'm sorry. I'm
okay.
Okay now. Okay, good. That's good. Yeah, yeah. Please, you can use the full screen now. Professor Chen. Yeah, yeah. Good. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Liqi Chen from KILAB Global Change and Atmospheric Chemistry and belong to Ministry of Natural Resources. Also from Chinese Arctic and Antarctic Administration, the Understate Oceanic Administration, also from the Jimmy University. I would like to introduce some the proposal for Russia-China cooperation on marine ecosystem and carbon cycle in the Arctic. And first, I would like to generally introduce some of the results from the China, the scientists' science. And as you know, we have about 20 years for the Arctic expedition. And yesterday, our research vessel Shillong second just the record at the Shanghai, the harbor. And we have we always assist to follow a transit 170 west to be continued survey in the west almost the last 20 years. So we get a good data and about for carbon or the ocean acidification and relative parameters. So we get some the result very interesting, not just for Chinese scientists, also for the international community. We find some results, especially when the sea ice, the melting, we find the distribution, the bundles of the surface PCO2 and the various sea ice, the melting, the scenarios. Also, we make some the hypothesis of for large distribution patterns. Some the result is very interesting. As you see, the pink line is for the PCO2 in air, but the blue line is present for the PCO2 in the surface water. But in the air, the PCO2 is very the level, but in PCO2 in the surface water just change a lot. And interesting, when the PCO2 in the Canada basin under the sea ice cover, we find very low the PCO2 level. But when the sea ice just the melting, we also find a very low the PCO2 in the water. But the sea ice the melted, and we get the more the open the water, we can see the PCO2 in the surface water increase a lot, to almost over the 300 micro the atmosphere in seawater. But in the marginal region, we see the also very low the seawater water. But somewhere to belong to the Bering Strait, we see a lot of very the changeable for PCO2 in the surface water. Based on this situation, we make some the hypothesis. We call that low, high the PCO2 in the surface water in Arctic Ocean. Just when very low the PCO2, the level in the surface water under the sea ice cover, also the very low the PCO2 the level, the melting the sea ice. And
Professor Chen, you only have 2 minutes left.
Okay, when the sea ice is very high, we get the pH, we just make a ratio low, then we find what is the making this the situation. When water mass from the Bering Sea into the Arctic Ocean, we can see some processes such as biological CO2 fixing or ice melting, also the river mixing. Then we get some the result, the final. We calculate all the figures for every process. Finally, we find the major control source of PCO2 is by AOC CO2 the gas exchange. Then we find when the seawater absorbs the more the AOCO2 into the water, we get the more for pH ion into the seawater. That's we call that the ocean acidification. When we compare the last 20 years for the ocean the acidification, you can see the blue line is area change to big ones from the last 20 years. Then we make less all the control, the driving the forces for less by the climate change. When our result published in the NCC, then the recent year also we find a very interesting some result when both the pH and the omega the aragonite it decrease in the Arctic region. Now we compare our result with some the Russian scientists such as Semin Lotov, also published in Nature Geoscience, the result. Even from surveys, the omega, the aragonite, also the button, the omega satellite is getting very low. That is the arsen, the acidification. Now we finally would like to make some the proposals for first the focus on impact of the river input and such as the Lena Vilo and on the AO in the article. And second, we would like to protect the fresh water in terrestrially induced some the AO. And we would like to make a suggestion for both the Russian and China, the scientists to someday less some such as the field service underwear measurement or water column sampling or measurement or data in personal exchange. And when we get a very good chance to join the proposal for breakfast, the foundation, and I would like to invite some the Russian scientists working on carbon cycle in the climate change to join us for join the proposal this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Chen. Now is your turn now. Professor
yes.
Yours.
Thank you very much, Professor Lee. Sorry for my interrupting in the starting our work. Also, thank you very much, Professor Lee too, for sharing with contributions on monitoring of Bering Strait seas. It's so nice data from China's our colleagues. Also, next our speaker, Gabriel Kirillin, Honor Minister for External Relations and the People's Affairs of Republic of Sakha-Yakutia. There is topic on the prospect for cooperation of Republic of Sakha-Yakutia with the People's Republic of China. Please, Honor Minister.
Thank you, Nadezhda Klimovna.
Thank you, Nadezhda Klimovna. Dear colleagues, friends, first of all, let me, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Sakha-Yakutia, to greet you on the 3rd Northern Sustainable Development Forum And I would like to congratulate our Chinese colleagues with the upcoming holiday, with the anniversary of the People's Chinese Republic of China. The Arctic is an important strategic element of the politics. And the last years, there is interest to the cooperation with Japan, China, Korea, and there are different directions of this cooperation. And we need to have to discuss our opinions on this cooperation and we need to improve economic relations of our countries. More than the half of our republic is in the Arctic zone. 13 districts are in the north. Near the North Pole. For 16 years, we have an agreement of scientific and cultural cooperations with Heilongjiang province. We had a lot of projects in education, culture, and sport. Since 2004, we keep in touch with our Chinese friends. Yakutia is a region with a lot of industrial projects. And this is one of the priorities in our cooperation. The export of coal has the first place. We have ongoing projects of mining of coal. Also, we have potential for cooperation in the export of liquefied natural gas from Yakutia. In 2022, we will have an international conference held with the government of Republic of Sakha-Yakutia, and we would like to invite you to participate in this conference. The Arctic zone is a promising territory for industrial projects in the field of energy. There are projects, innovative projects of coal mining and gas processing. There are prospects in the development of Northern Sea Route. This is the condition to have a transport system in the Arctic that will help to get to the external markets for our republic. Northern Sea Route will let us to improve our economic system. It will, and Yakutia is a promising hub of the Ice Silk Road. We have cooperation with our Chinese colleagues in the scientific research, in research of the fauna and flora. We have online schools with HIT, and I hope to have such interaction in the future. We are ready for the cooperation with China, and especially in the Arctic. I wish you to have fruitful work today. Thank you for your attention.
Minister, it was nice pictures from Sakha-Yakutia Republic, but I was so surprised why only coal delivered to the China, not brilliant from Sakha-Yakutia. It was so wonderful for me. And I hope that in the future, maybe with coal, will deliver and produce some brilliance to China's also. I hope it will be nice. Okay, thank you. Professor Lee.
This is a great speech. Thank you. Yeah. And our next speaker is Professor Gu Pingqin. He is a professor of Ocean University of China. And the title of his speech is The Connection Between Arctic and the Far East, as well as Northern East integration. Professor Gu, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I will do my best to keep the time, okay?
Yeah, please.
Firstly, let me share my screen. So you can see the my presentation?
Yes.
Can you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Due to the time limits, so I will make a brief on my points.
So can you make a full screen, please?
Oh, okay, one moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Great.
Sorry. Sorry. Mistake. Sorry. Okay. And briefly, my point is three. Firstly, is I think the Arctic development is close to the Northeast Asia participation. That's to say, the Northeast Asia involvement is very, very necessary for the Arctic development and also sustainable development. Why? Firstly, and the Northeast Arctic is the biggest consumers for the oil and gas produced in the Russian Arctic. Sorry. Something okay. So secondly, in the Northeast Asia provide the much capital for the Arctic development. For example, in Yamal LNG 1 and LNG 2, the Northeast country, especially China, contribute much the stock share for this both project. The third is the Northeast Asia is also the good partner for the Arctic research. In the past years, either the China or the Russia or South Korea, and also they are very active to initiate the cooperation with Russia or the Nordic states. Anyway, so if without the Northeast Asia countries' involvement, it's hard to imagine the Arctic development and ecosystem preservation. The second point is the Arctic development also is close related to the forest. So I agree strongly with the professor, the Gabriel Carridin, his point that the Sakha Republic we can serve as the hub or the hub bridging the Arctic and the Northeast Asia. Why? Because the Arctic one evidence can prove my point. That is, in 2019, the Russian Federation government made some reform that changed the regional ministry into a new ministry that is called the Forest and Arctic Development Ministry. So without the connection from the forest, it is hard to the cost price will increase largely for the Northeast Asia and Russia cooperation. The third point is the forest development is also connected strongly with the Northeast Asia integration. And as we know, and China, the president from China and Russia co-initiated the polar Silk Road in 2017. In 2017. So and also the South Korea. South Korea government, they also
please, Mr. Baratnikov from Pora, switch out your song. Sorry, Professor. Please.
Oh, thanks. And in 2013, or the South Korea government, they also launched a new strategy, that is a new North strategy, and involving the nine bridge strategy. That to say, the South Korea, they have a full and very fruitful, very full consideration to to take part in the forest development and also Arctic development. So recently, especially in the past year, the Japanese government, especially some of the university, actually representative of the Hokkaido University, and they serve as the leading role in the cooperation between Japan and Russia. So in a word, I think three factors: forest, Northeast Asia, and Arctic. So they are close. They are close. They are close. They are interacted. So it is necessary to make a full consideration of three actors. So that's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Guo. Now, Professor Nadzeta, is your turn now. You introduce Russian speakers, I introduce Chinese speakers.
Yes, I understood it. Thank you. Now I will share with my screen. If it will be possible here from my. Okay.
Okay, I can take this chance to introduce you, all right?
Okay.
So Professor Zada is Associate Professor of the Department of World Politics, St. Petersburg State University in Russia. And the title of her talk is Basic of Russian-Chinese Integration Arctic Issue Case.
Thank you very much, Professor Lee. Let me to continue our view from Russian-China's annual conference, which we every year organize it with Professor Guo from China University of the Arctic from Qingdao. And as you know, we have 10 years cooperation with this university, and our students are justice, our students are governance issues students, also international relations specific competence for as researcher, as diplomat, as maybe some teachers and the polar scientists, etc. And in first of Northern Sustainable Development Forum, which held in 2018, with Professor Guo, we invited from our university more than 15 professors. And firstly, in Yakutsk, we organized our our meeting. And at that moment, I tried to explain, and I started what kind of basis of Russian-China's interaction and the norms and justice agreements helps to provide some Arctic ideas. And from this, my view of point, where I include some methods from normative theory of international relations, I would like to say about evaluation of interdisciplinary area of the Arctic and the North within bilateral and multilateral interstate relations in the Eurasian Arctic. My colleague from Qingdao University said about Northeast Arctic. I will speak about Eurasian Arctic perspective. Two sea powers, Russia and China, modern history was started in 1992 from the joint declaration on the foundations of relations between the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China.
Excuse me, Professor Zada?
Yes?
Can you open your PPT, please? We cannot
yes,
see
I open and only one page is here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We cannot see.
You couldn't see? Why? Yes, I will try to.
I don't know other people. Can other people see the PPT?
Do you see?
I cannot see.
Надежда Климовна, вы не запустили презентацию экрана.
А я запустила, она закрылась, у меня видно. Сейчас видно?
Can you see it now?
Рабочий стол.
Только рабочий стол, интересно. Сейчас я тогда попробую еще раз запустить.
I will try one more time.
Видно, что запущено. Так, давайте-ка вот так тогда я поделюсь. Сейчас видно?
Yeah.
Сейчас видно.
That's great. That's great. Yeah.
Okay, so, sorry. Two sea powers, Russia and then China, modern history was started in 1992 from the joint declaration, as I see about it. One of the first documents of the time related to the environmental project. Khankaysky State Natural Reserve with protected zone in the Primorsky territory and in Heilongjiang province. The Russian-Chinese joint declaration on a multipolar world and the formation of new international order was adopted 5 years later in 1997. The dialogue between the twin cities of St. Petersburg and Shanghai is developing during this period in 1988. Second stage begins with the signing of the Treaty on Good Neighborliness, Friendship and Cooperation in 2001, and the reaching agreements on the creation of subcommissions in the field of education and the culture between governments. Cooperation on environmental protection and environmental safety was included in the agreement of administration of St. Petersburg and the People's Government of Shanghai for 2003 and 2008. Third stage begins in 2014, when was signed another bilateral agreement on cooperation in the supply of natural gas from Russia to the China via the eastern route. This agreement opened on an international discussion on the pivot of Russia to the east, laid the foundation for the development of many business projects and programs related to Yamal. Next step was taken after the instruction of the President of Russia to study gas reserves in the Irkutsk region, Krasnoyarsk territory, and the Yamal, with the aim of supplying it to China via Mongolia, the western route in 2018 from Yamal via Mongolia. This stage was marked by a new page in Russian-Chinese relations with the participation of third parties, the Mongolian Republic, People's Republic. This principle of the collective decision-making process worked in the case according to the Treaty of Euro-Asian Economic Union, international treaties of the Union with a third party. In these days, can the mediating role of Russia be performed between the European, American, and the other national systems in the research and educational environment in which institutions of higher education and the science adapt to globalization, considering local realities? At the same time, the result of formalized analysis and the application of the structural functional methods for studying the state of the foundations for the formation of bilateral and the multilateral relations between Russia and China, strategic planning for the development of the Far East and the Russian Arctic showed that the key aspects are contributions to the evaluation of foundations of normative theory of the international relations, world politics, and the economics. Russian-Chinese relations in the study of the polar regions, the Arctic and Antarctic, developing international scientific cooperation within geophysical boundaries of the Arctic Eurasia and within the framework of the Antarctic Treaty. And the end of my view is environmental protection, and the tourism is promising area of Russian-China's relations. This is my idea for evaluation of our bilateral interaction and who will be third party within Arctic Eurasia, within Treaty of Eurasian Economic Union. Thank you very much. This is my idea. Okay, and now I will give floor to Alexander Vorotnikov, Associate Professor of the Department of Public Administration and the Public Policy of the Russian Academy, Academy of Training Services of Administrative Services of Russian Federation within Russian President Academy. Coordinator of the Expert Council of the PORA Expert Center, Project Officer for the Development of the Arctic, Moscow City. Please, Alexander, with...
Спасибо. Спасибо большое. А Нюргун, запустить мою презентацию? Кто там у вас отвечает за дело?
Северный форум. Сейчас они включат.
Да, запустите мою. Мне просто ее переводили, а поэтому.
Хорошо, пожалуйста, сейчас сделают перевод, я думаю.
Они уже перевели ее там, пусть запустят.
Хорошо. По-английски да будет, да, наверное?
Да, презентация будет на английском.
Хорошо.
А говорить я буду по-русски.
Хорошо. Я думаю, что сейчас Северный форум включит.
The presentation will be in English, but I will speak Russian. Please turn on my presentation.
Хорошо, сейчас.
Они посмотрели.
Хорошо. Я думаю, что сейчас они посмотрят. I hope now Northern Forum Secretariat will share with us screen, Professor Vorodnikov. And we can, at this time when preparing his...
Ну, может быть, пока я начну, чтобы времени не терять.
Окей, да, вы можете начать, перевод пойдет.
Конечно, а потом будет презентация. Сейчас я...
Хорошо.
So I'll start now, and then we'll have the presentation.
Уважаемые коллеги,
Dear colleagues,
естественно, вот тема сегодняшнего мероприятия очень
today's
важна. Да?
topic is very important. Arctic research is very important.
Почему они вообще важны? Да?
Why is that important? Because everything that is proved by science,
200-мильной зоны,
that is everything is mining.
Развивает все свои функции, да, то государство, которое обосновало...
Everything is developed by the government of this zone. It's about natural resources. Who was the first to scientifically prove it? Those people use these results. Our cooperation with China in the Arctic zone is really great. We have revolutionary projects. For example, in Yamal, we have cooperation in tourism, but I think research in Russia in cooperation with China is not enough. We have a lot of prospects for scientific cooperation. This is, first of all, energy, sources of renewable energy. China has a lot of progress in this field. Very topical is research in alternative energy and climate change. We are living in the different world. We have a lot of changes. We have a carbon tax. We live in the paradigm of energetic transition. China plays a big role in it. But the most important research that needs to be held is in the field of green economy. There is a ESG transformation in the world. And we also are involved in this transformation. I had plenary session yesterday on this topic. And China plays the pioneer role in this field. And we need to have joint research with China. So unfortunately, I don't have a presentation, but I present Expert Center Para that is working on a discussion club where we have experts. We have more than 20 doctors of science and almost 300 experts, and we have expert councils. And so my suggestion was, we discussed it with Nurgun and others. I suggest to have an agreement, is to sign an agreement between the BRA Expert Center and the ASRTU, and also to hold discussion clubs of Russian scientists and Chinese scientists on the problems of the Russian Arctic development with for example, on energetic transition and what to do with the issue of green transformation, how China sees this transformation, and our scientists. I'm probably out of time now. Do I have time? Please send this presentation to colleagues. It has everything in this presentation. So I repeat that I propose to hold discussion club with some topical issues relevant for Russian and Chinese scientists. We have working groups on permafrost. I would like to focus on green transformation and transition to the new economy, especially ESG transformation. Sorry, you can. Thank you very much for your presentation, and please.
Okay, thank you. That's a great talk. Okay, our next speaker is Professor Dai Chanlong. He is professor of Heilongjiang University, China. The title of his talk is Visibility Research of Leng River Connection between the Belt and the Road and the Polar Silk Road. Professor Dai, please.
Okay. Good evening, friends. I want to share some opinion about the topic feasibility research of land river connection between the Belt and Road and the Polar Silk Road. I'm from Heilongjiang University. Two parts. The first is the feasibility research. We know the Arctic waterway is a key component connect West Europe and East Asia. And we can see the key part is along the Arctic Ocean, and we can connect the two parts from East Asia to Europe, from northeast China to Mongolia and Russia. Between the two lands, there are 3 routes can connect them. This show the 3 routes. The east route just from Dalian to Harbin to Yakutsk to Texas is important route for us to connect Northeast China and Far East Russia. We have do some works to for the feasibility research. And the second part related cooperation. We know in June 2019, President Xi Jinping and President Putin jointly announced that 2020 and 2021 will hold the China-Russia Science and Technology Innovation Year. This is the first time that China and Russia hold a national year with the theme of science and technology innovation. Heilongjiang University has a long history of cooperation with Russia. It has established close cooperative relations with the Moscow State University and some universities. We show a map include Northeast Asia and north part of America and Canada. We can see from the map, Heilongjiang province, Yakutia and Alaska was closed, and we can do some cooperation based on the region. We have do some discussions with many partners. Such as a series of meetings, cooperation projections, joint training, scientific papers, just like these photos. And in the future, we want to do the cooperation research on the hydrology, climate, ecology, relationship along the eastern route of the Belt and Road and Silk Road and ice. We want to to more cooperation with Russia friends. Okay, that's all. Professor Lee.
Thank you, Professor Dai, for your good talk. Very good. And our next speaker is Professor Zhang Zifeng. He is Associate Professor, School of Environment, Harbin Institute of Technology, Arctic Research on Environment and Ecology, Harbin Institute of Technology. And the title of his talk is Arctic Research on Environment and Ecosystem Ecology in Harbin Institute of Technology. Professor Zhang, please, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. So can you see my slides?
Yes, please, full screen, please.
Okay. Can you see the first slide? And oh no, sorry. So you can see the first slide.
Yes,
the PPT.
perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Hello. Good afternoon and good evening, friends. My name is Feng Zhang from Harbin Institute of Technology. Today, I will give a brief introduction of our Polar Academy and some research, Arctic research on environment and ecology. There are two parts in my talks. The first one is a brief introduction about Polar Academy in our university, Harbin Institute of Technology. As a constitutive party to the Arctic Treaty and a contracting party to the Spitsbergen Treaty, China firmly upholds the purposes of these treaties, protect the Antarctic and the Arctic environment, advocates scientific research, promotes international cooperation, and strive to make due contribution to the growth of human knowledge, progress of social civilization, and sustainable development. Polar Academy in our university aims at a frontier of polar science, relying on multidisciplinary integration of 12 national top-level disciplines, such as environmental science and engineering, physics, civil engineering, architecture, transportation engineering, biology, and food science and engineering in Harbin Institute of Technology. There are 6 research centers in our Polar Academy. I am in the IGRC-AEE. The full name is International Joint Research Center for Arctic Environment and Ecology. There are 5 research directions, including the impact of climate change on the Arctic environment and ecology. The second is global POPs emission residue list and the impact of global POPs emissions on Arctic environment. And as well, monitoring of POPs and its temporal and spatial trends in large scale, multimedia, environment, global or regionally. And the rest is screening, quantification, immigration, transformation, and fate of organic pollutants in the Arctic. And the rest, the last one is mechanism of POPs transmitting to the north and south poles over long distance through the atmosphere and ocean currents. Besides there are other 5 research centers, so I didn't give the brief introduction, introduction. And besides our 6 research center, we have established the Harbin Institute of Technology Heilongjiang Meteorological Bureau, Mohe Polar simulation experiment base. So it's located in Mohe in the very far east in China. It's a county. It's a very small town. The second part is our Arctic research on environment and ecology in our university. So right now we have 6 cities, sampling locations. The first one is very top north in Batagay in Russia, and the second is Yakutsk and another Russian city. The fourth city sampling station is Mohe, just mentioned. The fifth is Harbin, our city, and there is a very far south city, Shenzhen. It's very end of south of China. So we have 6 sampling locations for the research about chemicals and climate change. So we have the monitoring network in this map. Besides, we have done some research in the Europe Arctic area, such as pollution crater, some pollution profiles and bioaccumulation of bisphenols compounds in Montemedia, in Longyearbyen, Spitsbergen. Here's some of the result here. A few years ago, we had Dr. Li has published a paper. It's our topic. It's very top journal, environmental science and technology in our field. It's about BDE 209 in Chinese and global air. Some research on the gas particle partitioning and the long range transport research area. About 10 years ago, our group has done a project about International Polar Year project. It's Chinese government and cooperate with Canadian government. The name is Intercontinental Atmosphere Transport of Anthropogenic Pollutants to the Arctic. Here's some of the information about the project. Thank you. Here's the brief introduction of our side.
Okay, good. I'd like to make comments, and the monitoring network just Professor Zhang mentioned is actually a joint project between NEFO and HIT. So and also I'd like to point out that we have done joint project with NEFO for several years now, and we have published several papers together. Okay, thank you. That's good talk.
Okay, thank you very much, Tsipeng. Now we should miss Vladimir Berezhnych report, and I ask you, Professor Liu Fan, share with your presentation and share with your ideas. As director of the UArctic Training Center, professor of the School of Environment and the Harbin Institute of Technology, about Arctic education carried out by Harbin Institute of Technology and the University of the Arctic, Harbin Institute Training Center, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your nice introduction. The title of my talk is Arctic Educational Carried Out by HIT and the UArctic HIT Training Center. UArctic HIT Training Center was established on February 26, 2019 which is the first Arctic regional center outside the 8 Arctic countries and hosted by HIT China. Open to all students, faculties, and scientists in Chinese universities and institutes who are interested in Arctic knowledge and research. And the mission of the Arctic HITTC is to strengthen understanding, friendship, and collaborations between students, faculties, and scientists of the Arctic and Chinese universities and institutes by providing a unique and advanced platform for cooperative educational and research opportunities. There are 4 major activities carried out by this training center. The first one is China to North program. Third one is International Arctic School. Third one is the Arctic Coordinated Undergraduate Educational Program in Environmental Pollution Research, Arctic CEP in short. And 4 University Consortium Mobility Program, 4-year mobility program in short. First one, I'd like to introduce our C2N program, China to North program. But I have to introduce your Arctic End-to-End Mobility Program first. This program is a wonderful program that allows different university students can share the other university facilities to get the courses in other universities. But this is just for 8 Arctic countries only, not available for Chinese universities. One of your Arctic HIT Training Center goals is to help Chinese universities to join the End-to-End Mobility Program. In order to reach the goal with the guidance and help from the Arctic Vice President Mobility, your Arctic HIT Training Center designed a China to North Mobility Program. This program is on the signature stages. First, the second activity is International Arctic School. To host International Arctic School is one of the major activities held by your Arctic HIT Training Center on these goals, with great support from Harbin Institute of Technology. The mission of the IAS HIT is to improve Chinese students the knowledge about Arctic issues and students in the Arctic countries understanding about Chinese Arctic policies and research by taking courses at the International Arctic School, thus strengthen understanding, friendship, and collaborations between students from Chinese and Arctic universities by providing a unique and advanced platform for cooperative education and research opportunities. The principal of the school is Dr. Ren Nanqi. He is the member of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, also director of the Polar Academy, HIT. There are 2 vice principals. One is me, chief scientist of the Polar Academy of HIT and the director of the Arctic HIT Training Center. The second vice principal is Dr. Paul Moxon. He is your Arctic vice president in charge of North to North Mobility Program. Under the IAS HIT, NBU and NAFO have co-organized 3 times of summer school and 2 times winter schools. NMBU is the Norwegian University of Life Sciences. There are 515 students have attended this school, among which 171 students from countries outside China and 65 students from Russia. I would like to introduce a nice lady. She is, maybe was, I don't know if she graduated or not. She is an indigenous student from NEFO, and we invited her to take part of the summer school in 2019 with a full scholarship. We cover her our travel expense, because our policy is in each school we will support one indigenous students from the Arctic countries. The third one is your Arctic Coordinated Undergraduate and Graduate Educational Program in Environmental Pollution Research, Arctic CEEP in short. This is a program on the your Arctic, but funded by the UiT, the Arctic University of Norway. The lead institute is the Norwegian University of Life Sciences, with 4 partners, including Harbin Institute of Technology, Northern Eastern Federal University, Polar Research Institute of China, and the University Center in Svalbard, Norway. And this program is from September 1st, 2020 to August 31st, 2022. Based upon the already well-established academic collaboration, the project program will develop a comprehensive multidisciplinary research and educational package, supplemented through research and through adaptations of available course portfolio at the partner universities, actively establishing a joint graduate and postgraduate educational program in Arctic pollution sciences. The last one, active under the training center, is called 4-University Consortium Mobility Program. 4-year mobility program in short. This includes the 4 universities: Northern Eastern Federal University, Russia, Harbin Institute of Technology, China, Dalian Maritime University, China, and the Norwegian University of Life Science, Norway. On behalf of the EURARCTIC and in line with the EURARCTIC principle, EURARCTIC HIT Training Center proposes that the 4 universities, including NMBU, NEFO, HIT, and DMU, to form a 4-university consortium and start a 4-university consortium mobility program. 4-year mobility program is intended to facilitate a collaborative program of research, training, curriculum, and institutional development, dissemination of information, and exchange of faculty, students, and staff. The MOU has been signed already by all 4 universities. Now it's in action now. We will have a first meeting soon. The 4-university mobility project is an experiment of the C2N project. So we will do this first and then transfer to China to North project. So this is the MOU and signed by president and the rector of 4 universities. Thank you. This is my introduction to our EURARCTIC HIT Training Center.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much, dear director. You have so interesting practice, interregional academical practice. And I remember the previous century, the end of 19th, I remember how is Heilongjiang cooperate with interregional cooperation within Northern Forum. And I now really enjoyed to evolutions of academical cooperation, educational cooperation with between universities, with center of Yakutsk and Harbin, also Norway University and the UArctic. Thank you very much for your brilliant presentation and your hard work for the international academical cooperation. I would like to give next floor to Vladimir Berezhnych, Chief Editor of Russia-China Journal, Grade T Road, Arctic Road. It's interesting for me. I don't know that it was some Russian-China journal about it. Please, editor Vladimir Berezhnych.
Добрый день, коллеги.
Здравствуйте.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I didn't know that such a journal exists. We will show it to you now. This journal is, this magazine is more than 10 years old. It is very big and beautiful. We write about political topics of our Russian-Chinese cooperation. We write about diplomacy. This is a photo of that was in Moscow. So these are people from different parts of Russia. I see some people I know here. Do you see Nurgun? I see other people I know. Kulikova, Maslov. These are all our authors. These are people that, thanks to them, we publish our magazine for more than 10 years. And particularly in every magazine, we talk about the great tea route. I have been working in tourism for more than 40 years. And my experience tells that the prospect of tourism development from China to Russia is enormous. In the 90s, I was starting to work in tourism, but we didn't even have a thought that we will have tourists in China. We could only dream about China. And in the 90s, the first tourists started to go to Russia. I personally was transporting tourists in China for the products. Tourism was mostly like economic, like for trade purposes. Back then it was like that, mostly about the trade. But from this century, the first real tourists from China started to come to Russia. We started to learn about tourist places of China, like Hainan Island, other places. We on Baikal and in Russia, we're very interested in Chinese tourism. This is unfortunately characterized by not such vast development, but In comparison with the worldwide Chinese tourism in Russia, this is not so big. So there are prospects, and we are waiting for the borders to open after the pandemic to renovate this tourism. In our tourism space, we discuss a lot the renovation of Chinese tourism. And after the pandemic, people that it will be different. The times of cheap tourism will be over. So these times are changing. After the pandemic, the Chinese tourist will be more demanding.
Ему интересны будут не только вот такие
He will need not only in Baikal, Kremlin, St. Petersburg, etc., but in other different tourist destinations. And speaking of the Great Sea Route, the Arctic route, 2-3 years before the pandemic, the northern route of Russia has become more popular among Chinese tourists, especially Tereberka village, because it was the closest place to see the northern lights. It attracted a lot of tourists. There were thousands of them, but before that, there were no tourists at all. But after the movie Island, it became very popular. This new tourist, demanding tourists, will be grateful if the Arctic routes will be suggested to them, Arctic sea routes and cruises in Vladivostok, through Kamchatka, through Sakhalin. So through the places near the United States. In Irkutsk, there were a conference about transcontinental transport transition from Russia to Alaska. I think that when in America there will be adequate leadership, when this Cold War will be over, I think that the Chinese, the Russian, the Canadians, Americans will meet together in the conference, maybe in Yakutsk, and we will discuss the opportunity of this transport transition. And continuing this cruise, we can go to such places where it will be just fantastic for Chinese people, where the Arctic Ocean, bears, seals, northern lights, and this route can end, for example, in Yakutsk. You could travel in the river Lena. in Dudinka, in Krasnoyarsky Krai. There are a lot of different options. This is the new great tea route in which back then we were transporting tea, and now we call like that the territory between Russia and China. This is like a tourist corridor that can be prolonged to Arctic and to the North Pole. Thank you very much for your attention.
Impressing speech. It was nice to hear about dreams, about China route, tea route, and the Northern Pole route. From this your speech, I remember 2 episodes. And firstly, it was you speak about public diplomacy. And I remember when I visited island Dixon in Timor, I had my speech about public diplomacy and speak about cooperation between Dixon Island and the Dixon City in USA. And at that moment, governor of Timor speak me, Nadezhda, please, so here, there is son of writer Ivanov, who was one of first public diplomacy person in Soviet Union period. This is first episode, and now I saw second episode about public diplomacy between Chinese and the Russians and another our rest world from your person. It's so nice here. And the second episode about your journal magazine about China's tea route and the how it name it, Arctic route. Role of magazine, role of journal, and the public information on journal is so high between our cooperation. And I remember when I visited Tsilin University in the north of China, I show my magazine which named it Arctic Art and the Culture. It was amazing time, 2013. And good luck to see you, and nice to see you. And it was nice speaker in these days with patience, because there is public diplomacy example. Thank you very much. Next, our speaker, Vera Zubenko, Associate Professor of the Faculty of Economics, Moscow State University. Lomonosov, Moscow State University, please. Professor, yeah. У вас тоже.
Да, я сейчас запущу свою презентацию.
I will show you my presentation. Good afternoon, dear participants of the Northern Forum. As have been said, I'm a professor of the economic faculty of the Lomonosov Moscow State University. And in our faculty, we have a center in Arctic research. And it means that the Arctic starts to play the bigger role from day to day, and we need to think about cooperation of different countries in the interest of the Arctic. And my interest in this field started because I have an aspirant from China, and she wrote a dissertation under my leadership on the topic of Russian-Chinese investment cooperation. And one of the paragraphs was dedicated to the Russian-Chinese cooperation in the Arctic, the joint development of the resources. The Arctic is the special region of the worldwide agriculture, and It's a special region of the planet, which today is at the center of world politics, and it has become a place where interests intersect, interests of different countries intersect, and this is a region where the multi-level competition between different states occurs. And I think that there's a point of view that they can be divided into 4 groups. These are, first of all, the United States, Canada, and Russia that have the Arctic region. The second group is other Arctic regions like Switzerland, Sweden, Norway, and European Union can be in the third group because it includes the countries that were mentioned, but also it has its interests in the form of the responsibility for the Arctic, and it pays attention to environmental preservation and infrastructure and the rights of the indigenous peoples. And the fourth group can participate just as it doesn't have a vote in the Arctic Council, so just can separately watch the Arctic field, and they have their interest there. The Arctic is like a catalyst and indicator of global environmental changes. In the Arctic, the weather is formed, the climate phenomena, and they are in the interest of all countries, and China as well. And also the Arctic is like a big place of resources, different natural resources. There are oil, natural gas, and coal, gold, uranium, diamonds.
Есть биоресурсы, рыбные,
bioresources, fish, fresh water, that is like a deficit natural resource. There's an opportunity to use hydroelectric power, etc. And we can note that among all the countries, Russia has an unconditional priority because our country has the largest coastline in the Arctic region. Our main border is in the Arctic Ocean.
Осваивает Арктику уже более...
And Russia has been settling in the Arctic for more than 8 centuries, starting from the second half of the 11th century. And in the 17th and 18th centuries, the most of islands were mapped as Russian territories. The most intensive period for Arctic development was during the Soviet period, starting from 30s, 40s of the previous century. There were Arctic ports and industrial cities. The first large reserves of natural resources were discovered there. But after the USSR died in the 90s, the Arctic was kind of abandoned, and the number of settlements decreased. The annual volume of traffic has decreased. The real revival of the Arctic started in the 21st century. The project of renovation of the Arctic is one of the most promising projects. In October 2020, the strategy for the development of the Arctic zone of the Russian Federation and ensuring national security for the period up to 2035 was adopted, and there were outlines and priorities of the importance of the Arctic to our country. 80% of natural gas is mined in this region, and the continental shelf of Russia is a strategic reserve for the development of the mineral resource base. And also the Northern Sea route has an important role, increasing important role due to the climate change. And using this Northern Sea route can change the whole model of the worldwide transportation. For example, transportation of Chinese products through this route can let us to have economic developments. And also there are 19 indigenous peoples living in the Arctic zone. Our government cares a lot about them. There are objects of the historical and cultural heritage, and the military strategic importance of this region is also emphasized. In this region, there are just 2.5 million of people, but about 15% of GDP is produced there. The Arctic is not yet the object of international law. The activities there are regulated by the Spitsbergen Law agreement that was signed in 1920, and the newer Convention of the United Nations signed in 1982. USSR was in this agreement, and later Russia. The position of Russia regarding economic activity in the Arctic region and relations with other states the Russian strategy is that the Arctic states have exclusive rights within their Arctic territories. In relations with each other, they decide without participants of other countries, and Russia is in favor of sovereign control over the resources of the Arctic. China has recently started to interest in the Arctic development, and China's interest is started to show especially in scientific research. But now we see the increase in the activity and of this interest of using the Arctic benefits, and China is a near Arctic country, and so China stands for inclusiveness in Arctic affairs. Although the strategy of interest and Russia and China are sometimes controversial, but Russia and China are cooperating and find some common things, not paying attention to controversy. And right now, China is interested, first of all, in the use of the northern route, sea route, and in development of natural resources of the Arctic, because China is a very fastly developing country and has a very important role in the worldwide economy, but doesn't have enough resources. China is developing the initiative of One Belt, One Route. And Russia and China have a lot of, they share a lot of common things and prospects of cooperation. This is a scientific research of the Arctic, tourism that was mentioned before, the mining, the infrastructure projects, because Russia has to modernize the ports that are very outdated. They were constructed in the last century, and you need to modernize these ports. And this is where Russian and Chinese interests can share things, because Russia lacks the financial resources, but China has it. I'm finishing my presentation, and I would like to say that cooperation of Russia and China has more things in common than in controversy. In the field of staff training, it's another way to cooperate. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Vera Andreevna. Nice to hear you from Lomonosov State University, and it's nice to connecting with our large universities and our friends from China. And I think that NEFU University is your one of Siberian partner and the Far East partner, which who connected us with all of rest of world. I think. Thank you very much.
Прошу прощения, в Якутске живет и работает моя сокурсница, может быть, вы ее знаете.
I have a group mate from Yakutsk, Rats Galina. She's living in Yakutsk.
There is only one university, and the Yakutsk State University, NEFU University. I think that she till is working at that university, I hope. But I'm from St. Petersburg, and I don't know here, unfortunately. Okay, Vera Alexandrovna had been our last speaker. Dear Honorable Professor Li Yufan, maybe you would like to say anything, or maybe our speakers had some questions each other. Maybe we can discuss about our ideas, share ideas.
First, I still like to thank you, the organizer, the NEFO, for this wonderful opportunity for us. And for this panel, we both sides have talked their work. And I think after this, maybe we can put this in action, to have some more collaboration. I think this is good for both countries. And also, I'd like to make a comment to, let me see, to the Professor Vladimir Brzezinski, the chief editor of Russia-China Journal. I think they're talking about the tourists. So I think in the future, this is even more opportunity, because, the Chinese doesn't like to go to North America now, because the relationship between China and the USA and Canada, is not so good. Now, I think, I believe that more and more Chinese people would like to go to Russia to visit the places. I think this is a good chance. This is my comments. Yeah. So maybe other people, can talk about their thought.
See you a hand from Professor Go.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So thank you for the both moderators, and I do enjoy the presentations by the speakers. I would like to give comments on the presentation by Vera Zbenko, Professor Vera Zbenko. You figure out some of the common interests between Russia and China. I agree largely. That's I think most of them are the true, and we share some value on these issues. So if you don't, I know I see you have figured some of the differences between the sides. For example, China position itself as one near Arctic state, and China want to manage Arctic. So do you mind to share your position? I want to, and I remember it's the slide 7, the 7th slide, and your point is that China wants to manage Arctic. So I don't think so. I think China is keeping careful to the participate in the Arctic issues. And China, if you are interested at, sorry, if you are interested at these issues, I recommend you to read the white paper about the China Arctic policy. And China, and in that paper, China, and it declared clearly that China respect the sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction of the Arctic states. So I don't think China had some ambition to manage Arctic. On the contrary, China will keep the close mutual understanding with the Russia partners, and like to listen to the opinion or suggestion from the Russian counterpart. That's my humble opinion. Thank you.
Please, Litu, Professor, have you answer for this question from Professor Guo? Or comment maybe?
Прошу прощения, я не очень хорошо уловила возражение со стороны этого китайского участника нашей дискуссии. Но я хотела просто подчеркнуть, что несмотря на определенные разногласия в наших позициях по деятельности...
I did not quite understand the point that Professor has made regarding the cooperation. We have a lot of grounds for cooperation. We have mutual interests, and these interests we are developing within the strategic partnership between Russia and China. I did not imply that there's some confrontation, political confrontation. Of course, we can coordinate our interests and effectively cooperate in the Arctic. This is what I wanted to clarify and to signify. Thank you.
Answer and the commentary, Professor Zubenko, and maybe some discussion from Professor Guo or any our participant.
Okay, that's true. There is some confrontation, I believe, and we are confident of the both sides can overcome these obstacles and overcome these confrontations or even disputes. But that's true. China has any intention or ambitions to manage Arctic. I think Arctic states have enjoy some privileges to manage Arctic. China is only one participant, always one close interest stakeholders, and I think China will follow the international rules or international laws, and also simultaneously respect the Russian domestic law and regulations. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Professor Guo. I think that we will invite Professor Zubenko from Lomonosov University in our annual meetings because I saw that it was interesting for you, and we can add another economical science in our, it will be good to join and invite in our annual meeting. Thank you very much for your discussion. It was interesting for us. And if we, to summarize our meeting, I would like to say that in our panel discussion from 2 countries participating 11 speakers from 8 cities, from 2 federal cities, capital of Russian Federation, Moscow, and the second cultural capital from St. Petersburg, also from Far East of scientific academical purpose, this is Yakutsk in Nefu University, also historical trade center of Baikal, Irkutsk. This is so interesting cooperation, and it was nice conversation between us and the sharing with our ideas. It was nice to see Heilongjiang University as new academical center for Northern and Arctic study. And with pleasure to meet with my friends from Russian University of China, from Qingdao, who started this cooperation from China side, Professor Guo. Also, thank you very much from Northern East University, Nurgun Romanovich, for the connecting us and organizing this platform and cooperate us. And it was pleasure, really enjoyed talking with you and learning more about Far East regional cooperation, hearing some achievements, the futures and the perspective. Hope these ideas will have opportunity for Northerns, create well-being life. I heard that Professor Go had invited to Council of Sakha Republic in the Interregional Well-Being Council. It's nice to hear you and to congratulate you, with this honor position in Russia, in the one of rich Republic of Russia in Sakha-Yakutia. And my native land, Sakha-Yakutia, today, including in the global affairs with China's partners, I think. Also, thank you very much for all your time, and thank you very much for your interest topics, and thank you Northern Forum, and we congratulate Northern Forum with jubilee, 13th jubilee. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe see you next year again.
We will hope. Why not? Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.